Hello YouTube! This video is about this hole right here. We're going to take care of that. There's an NHRA rule that says all batteries, fuel lines, fuel pumps, or filler necks located inside the trunk require a complete bulkhead of at least 0.024 inch steel or 0.032 inch aluminum to isolate the driver compartment from the trunk. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build a bulkhead here. We have a number of holes that we have to take care of here in the shelf. Now some of the holes are just punch outs and the metal tab is still here and we can bend it back up. And so forth. This hole, I'm going to have to create a pattern for, and I only have 3 railroad boards left. So I'm going to make the bulkhead board first, and then I can cut that up and make these patterns. So we're going to weld these up, and we're going to have to fix these holes before we do the bulkhead. We'll grind the paint off of spots that we're going to weld up. Let's weld up some of these tabs. Little welding, little grinding, holes are all gone. Now that we have all the holes in the shelf patched, we need to take this bracket off so that the bulkhead will lay flat. I really can't see the spot welds. I'm kind of guessing. But it looks like there's one right there. And it looks like there's one right there. We'll take an 1/8 inch drill and drill right through it. This is a spot weld drill bit, and it's got a very flat cutting surface to it. And the idea is it's supposed to cut out the spot weld from this piece of metal and leave the metal underneath untouched. That's the idea anyway. Now we'll see if we loosened it up any. Well, I didn't get that rivet. Well, this back one just came right off. Looks like I got a hole to patch. Let's weld up these holes. Not that it really matters. They're going to be covered by the sheet of aluminum anyway, but it makes me feel better, so I'm going to weld them up. After a little bit of welding, a little bit of grinding, our holes are all gone. This is the area that we want to fill. We want to run from this lip down to this lip and side to side. There's a 1/2 inch reveal here. I'm not sure that you can see it with all the grinding, but there's a 1/2 inch reveal here, and then there's about 1 inch wide strip that's flat. So I think I'm going to take the top of our panel 1/4 inch below this second reveal and run it down to the top of this grommet. That measures 21 3/4 to the reveal. So we'll make our pattern 21 1/2 wide. 2 pieces of riverboard are just wide enough and just long enough for us to make a pattern out of. And we want our pattern to start at 21 1/2 high. So that means we're going to cut a 1/2 inch off. That's the width of our pattern. I've taped the riverboard, that's the right width for our panel, to the back of the car with our 1/4 inch reveal. And I've set the compass to the widest width because we have no paper to play with. And we'll try to make a tracing by keeping the compass even and level. And now we'll go from the bottom up. All right. Now we need this horizontal line. And let's go cut that out and see what we get. We'll straighten these lines out on the generous side. And we'll cut that out. Let's go see how that fits. Okay, I'm happy with that fitment. Now we just have to make the other half. I think the pattern's fitting pretty nice. I did have to make a small change right there in the corner. It needs to come down a little bit further than what I cut it. The pattern down here on the bottom, it's a little close on the grommet, so I think I'm going to shorten the patterns 3/8 of an inch. The other side is good. So let's go make those modifications. We need to trim 1/4 inch off the bottom. It's usually a pretty good sign that if the pattern stays in place without being taped, that it's a pretty good fit. And we have this just right. The bulkhead is not going to be perfectly flat. It has a curve to it right here. So don't expect it to be flat. I bought this sheet of aluminum foil in a hurry, and I shouldn't have bought it. It's full of dents and scratches and the edges all screwed up. But it is what we've got to use, and there's one little dent right here, but there's no other dents, and this edge is straight. So we're going to go ahead and use it. So the first thing we're going to do is trace the outline. I have it taped down so it doesn't move. I find that works real well. I have a nice sharp marker here, so it's not leaving a real thick line, and I'll cut the line. And now we carefully have to cut on the line. Let's see how it fits. Well, it's a little long. It's tight here in the corner right there and right there, so I think we'll trim a little bit off of there. And it's the same thing on this side. After several rounds of fitment, we've got the edges really nice and tight. It's straight across the top, and if we push the metal in, it clears the grommet. So now is the time to go round the edges off and prepare it for installation. I've already sanded these edges with 80 grit, and now I'm going with 320, and you just have to be careful not to catch the edge. What we're doing here is marking where the beams are so I can put screws and holes in. What you see here is the outline of the open spaces that were exposed in the trunk. And I want to put screws around the perimeter. And I'm going to put them 3/8 of an inch in from the edge. And I've gone around and marked 3/8 of an inch. And now we have to draw a line so that all the screws are in a line. And I'll go all the way around and do that. The lines connecting the 3/8 inch measurement that we made have been drawn. And now I'm marking the locations of where we're going to have holes for screws. And I'm trying to go in 6-inch intervals when I can. So there's 6, there's 12, and then when we come to the bottom it's 8. So we'll split the difference and make it 4, and that way it's even. Now what we're going to do is punch the location of each one, and I'm hitting it soft so as not to dent the aluminum, but to leave a point for the drill to start drilling, because we're going to put holes in these locations, and then we'll dress them up with a bevel. Now we have to drill a bunch of holes. I asked my wife, the future driver of the car, whether she liked this or that. And she says she likes this because it hides all the scratches. So we're going to sand the side that's going to face the car with 320 sandpaper. But first we're going to put a little bezel on each one of these holes. Just to be, I don't know, it just makes it look better. And now what we're going to do is get rid of the shine because of all the scratches in it. My wife likes the other side, and this will hide the scratches. So here we go. There we go, one textured surface. Okay, we're ready to put the first screw in, and that's always the most critical. And I think this is right where we want it. It's a 1/4 inch below that reveal, straight all the way across. Gaps are all the same. Let's put a screw right there. Okay, it all fits. I guess I have a lot of screws to put in. A lot of drilling, a lot of screws. When it comes to having a panel with a curve in it, like this one, what I like to do is work my way down to there, and then I'll work my way across and all the way down this one, and we'll get all the screws in. After drilling and screwing a bunch of screws, this is the last one. And now it's screwed in. With the back piece complete, we need to think about a piece for here. Now I really only have to cover this hole and this hole. I don't have to do anything up here, but I think it'll look better if I make a piece that covers this whole area here. So I think that's what we're going to do. Now it's not going to be easy because there's different levels. For example, between here and here is a good inch. So we'll have to slope it back, and then this is all curvy. Maybe I can straighten it out a little bit with a hammer. And then we've got all these little tangs we got to weld up. So we're going to take care of that, and then we'll start making a pattern. With our holes patched up and all the protrusions hammered down flat, I think we're ready to start thinking about a pattern. And we want the pattern board to be, let's make it 19 inches tall. And I think this is the deepest point. We'll make it 9 inches deep, 19 by 9. This is our pattern from back bulkhead, and what we're going to do is cut out a 9-inch wide strip so that we can make patterns. I'm going to make a pattern for the other side also, as I've been working on the passenger side. I'm also doing the driver's side so that we get them both done at the same time. We're lucky that both the pattern and the car has a fairly flat edge, so we can start from that flat edge. So we'll cut 2 19s. And there we have 2 19 by 9 inch pattern boards to make our pattern out of. It's good to have a straight edge to start from, or at least fairly straight. We do have a little gap here, so we're going to trim a little here and a little there. But I think we should cut the bottom off first before we start cutting that side off, so that we cut it off in the right spot. So we'll take a ruler and we'll hold it there and draw a line and cut that out. Okay, I think our bottom angle is pretty good. We have to trim here and here. So I'm happy with this line. I'm happy with this line. Now we got to make the outline of the vehicle, and that actually happens to be pretty easy. Trace it from the back side. The top is a straight line across. To get this back line, we'll just fold it over. I think we got a pretty good fit here. I'm a little concerned about these corners here that are bent over like that. I don't know if I could do that with aluminum or not, but we're going to find out. I'm a little short here on the top, so I'm going to make that correction by putting some tape on there. And now our pattern is correct. One final check with that last modification. And we're perfect. So let's go cut a piece of metal. We have our patterns taped to the aluminum, and we'll draw the outline and cut it out. We'll remove one piece of tape at a time and finish the outline. With our panel cut and trimmed to size, we can start marking the location of screw holes. So we'll put one in each corner here, and then we'll put one here, one there, one there. Okay, time to drill holes in our marks. We'll finish them off with a bezel. A little sanding, and it'll look like the bulkhead. Ready for installation. Oh, looks pretty good. Let's put a screw right here. There we go. Now we just have to drill and put the rest of them in. This is what it looks like now. We've got both side patches done. We've got the bulkhead done. Now we've got probably the most difficult piece to do, and that's this piece back here. I have some ideas on how we're going to do it. The last hole to patch is right here. And my plan is to lay a patch flat on this surface running to the side of the car. But we can't do that with these tabs sitting up here. So we're going to cut them off. No more tabs in our way. The idea is to conform to the curve of the car and to run up and back here and to lay flat. So what we need to do is make a pattern for this, and the first thing we're going to do is work on this curve. With what remains of our pattern for the rear bulkhead, we have enough river board to make one pattern for the side of the car. These dashed lines represent an area where we were considering chopping the top on this, but we've long gone by that. What I'm going to do is make guesstimated measurements of where this shelf is. And I think it's right about there. And now to get a smooth tape line, we'll run one piece of tape. And that's my best guess as to where that shelf is. We're going to try to trace the outline. Okay, that gets me to cut up. I can cut that out and we'll fit it to the side of the car. We'll straighten out this line a little bit and we'll cut that out. We'll do a trial fit here, and the front fit's pretty good. We need to take a little bit off the back end here. We'll take just a little bit off. So now what we'll do is we'll take this curve and put it on another pattern board, and that'll give us, if you will, the male portion of this patch. We'll take the tracing that we made of the outside curve of the body and trace that, and that'll give us the start of the new pattern for the inside. We need to do some trimming in order for it to fit to the wall. There's a partition that comes out here about that far, and we'll cut the same curve, and then we have to cut a piece out here all the way across and come down here to stick inside of this. It fits pretty good up here. We need to trim a little bit there. Let's add some tape down here and I'll trim there. Once again, I have the patterns taped to the metal and we are tracing the outline. After back and forth several times, we got the pattern fitting pretty well. What we want to do is lay out for the screws now. We have to remember that there's nothing from here to the side of the car. That's why we're making this piece, is to cover up this hole. So we have to indent our screws a good 2 inches. So we're going to go like so. This is the pattern I used to make this piece of metal from. And we should be well inside the gap for screws. So we want to be 3/8 of an inch in all the way around. We'll punch those locations. Seems like I've done this before. Let's drill some holes and dress them up. Here we go with surface preparation. This is our last panel, and we'll feed it in and get it to set down like so. And because I can't swing a hammer in here, we'll use this center punch and we'll drill that hole. And again, because there's no height in here, thank goodness for 90-degree drills. Believe it or not, this is the last screw of the project, and it fought me all the way. It broke off in the hole, then the hole got enlarged. But most of it's covered by the screw, but here's the last one. I believe we've accomplished our goal of creating a bulkhead that would pass an NHRA inspection. I think we have accomplished our goal. If you enjoyed this video, there will be more.